Hello everyone and welcome to Modcast episode 13. Oh god, yes, it is the unlucky episode, but here we are and welcome. It's me, Unoctium, hosting the episode, and joining me as always is Kris Takahashi. Welcome, Kris.
Hey, how's it going?
Yes, but today is a special episode because for the past 12 episodes we've had the number 2 quest melder on the podcast, but on episode 13 we have the number 1. They said that nightclubs in the middle of the glowing sea weren't lore friendly. Weren't immersive, but he didn't listen. They said that running into some naked woman in the middle of this island was too much, but he defied them all. Welcome to the number 1 Fallout 4 quest modder, Thuggysmurf. Oh, Thuggy. Clap.
Hey,
yes.
guys. Kris is still the number 1 quest modder. That's never going to change.
That's not true. Endorsement-wise, I am clearly number 2 in this department.
I don't think that's true.
And second place is the same as last place, more or less, so...
No, because you're getting downloads on with 3D NPC.
Yeah, because I have a bunch of them.
If you add that up, I'm sure you're still number 1.
No.
Whatever the case is, we're always second.
Our guest is being quite modest.
Yes. We're all second to CBBBE, so let's remember that, everyone.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
My first question for the exalted Thuggysmurf is, what kind of name is Thuggysmurf? Where did it come from?
I wish I had a cool story. I think I just had to register, and I believe one of my kids was watching the Smurfs or something, and that became the name. No thought went into it.
It sounds like a Smurf in a tracksuit.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, it sounds like a Russian Smurf. Like the Smurf wall has fallen, and like the Smurf dream has faded, and then suddenly all these Smurfs start immigrating in these Smurf tracksuits and things like that. And Smurf vodka, so that's why I see even Thuggysmurf. I see a Russian Thuggysmurf.
It sounds like you've got the makings of a mod there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that would suit your modding catalog, wouldn't it? Like a bunch of, Russian Smurfs, that had their hope destroyed by capitalism, in a sense.
Yeah, totally lore friendly.
I think so. I mean, yeah, it fit right in.
Do Smurfs wear shirts, though? I mean, usually they're topless, aren't they?
They wear pants. So, I mean, I figure it's only a short jump towards shirts, and a short jump towards tracksuits, and then a short jump towards alcoholism. But no, we're here to talk about mods, okay? And let me ask you the first traditional question. What made you want to get into mods in the first place, Thuggy?
Let me see. I started playing video games with Skyrim.
Mm-hmm.
I played games as a kid, and I never really got into them after that. I can't remember what I was watching on Reddit or something, but so, wow, you can actually make this game whatever you want. So I just started playing it, and my kids play, and the thing is like with Skyrim, it can be whatever you want it to be. Like if my daughter plays, it's basically Candyland. It's like, there's Thomas the Train Dragons and like candy cane swords, and it's not Skyrim. It's a game about farming and orphanages and occasionally jumping off tall buildings. And then if my son plays, it's a Star Wars game. And then if I play, it's just this ultimate violence warfare thing. And it, like with Mod Organizer, if you're using that, you just switch profiles with the click of a button, and it's a whole new game. So mostly I just started playing that, and you play it for a while, and then you mod it, and you're like, I just need these 5 mods, and that becomes 10, and then 20, and then 200. And then from there you sort of just I remember I bugged this mod author one time. I was like, oh, can you tweak this? And they didn't do it. They said, no, but here's how you do it. And I was like, wow, I didn't realize it was that easy to do. And so it's sort of like a slippery slope starting from there with just game settings, and then eventually you're making quest mods in the glowing sea for some reason.
So what made you jump into like the long form quest mods, like just 20 quests and things that people would really enjoy to this day?
Like the first one I did with Recluse was Fusion City Rising. We did that, and then we did a follow-up called Outcasts and Remnants. And it was just a collection of ideas. It wasn't, I think at first we just wanted to make a level that would be fun to play. And we had something that was playable before the Fallout creation kit came out. But we didn't know what we were doing. The creation kit came out for it, and we're like, okay, yeah, we can do a lot better job. So we just started over, and then one of my kids wanted to voice act, and we're like, okay, well, let's put a kid follower in there who just trash talks people, and that hasn't been in the game before, and it kind of evolved from there. I think if you play, like the first one we did, if you play Fusion City Rising, one common thing you get is, okay, this is really fun, but the story is completely stupid. Which is, how we wrote it. I mean, we made something that was fun to play, and they were kind of like, okay, we have to connect all this stuff together somehow. And like, where are the parents for this kid? Why is he going with you? And, we wrote the story around that. I think we got a little better as time went on. But that was sort of the humble beginnings of it. I don't know if that answers your question, but yeah.
Sure, absolutely. And users, do you feel the users were quite receptive to the mod and generally quite grateful that they had something to play?
Yeah, when it came out, I mean, I think like Tales from the Commonwealth is still like the best mod that's out there for Quest, but like that was there. But I think people were less happy with Fallout than they were with Skyrim, and a lot of people were just looking for something different. So we tried to say, okay, well, what can we put in a mod that people haven't seen before, or that they're not able to do in the base game? And so, yeah, people seem quite receptive to that. I mean, a lot of people obviously aren't, but for the market it was trying to serve, it seemed to go okay.
How did you find the learning curve? Because, I mean, the most common advice is for new modders to start small. But here, this is like the biggest Quest mod. I don't know about now, but at the time, especially, it was, it's like a big thing. And so this being the first mod that you're kind of diving in, how did you find that sort of learning curve? Did you start small, like you said, with a small level and gradually expand? Or did you like come in with big ambitions and try to meet those?
No, we didn't. We made it up as we went along. I mean, not to compare ourselves to Bethesda, but, there's that Todd Howard quote that he says, great games are played, not made. So, I mean, you can say what you want about Fusion City Rising. I think of the ones we've done that have followed that out, that's the most fun to play. The story is obviously the weakest, but, in terms of ambitions and starting, though, like one thing we had to do was some of the battles in that are a lot bigger and a lot tougher. So, I mean, it did start small. I just made like first some bat files for Fallout 4. I was like, okay, I want to release this and see, can people's computers handle like 100 NPCs spawning? And I expected like a whole bunch of people to say like, this crashed my game and you're Satan. And it wasn't. People were like, no, this actually works. So I was like, okay, we'll make big battles then. And then just tried a few things with like, we had to get like armors and body types. And so there's a bunch of like little mods like for guns and things like that. And then Recluse, the other co-author, he has all like the hairstyle and the mods for Fallout 4 and the NPC mods will give you like a lot more variety to the faces that show up in the game. So I think between the two of us kind of specializing in those areas, it allowed us to put start specializing in different things. It allowed us to put a lot of stuff into one mod.
And where did you get the sort of drive to keep making all these like quest mods after quest mods after quest mod? Did you really like did you get a great positive feeling from making your first quest mod that you sort of follow up every few months or so with something?
No, it's more like irritation.
Oh, right.
Like I don't really like Fallout 4 that much. I mean, it's a great value for your money. It's a great game. I just don't like for Skyrim. I play that. I love that. I don't feel the need to mod it because I feel like everybody else has done such an outstanding job with it that it's like, well, I'm just going to enjoy what other people have done at this point. But Fallout 4 is different. Like it just, I can't put my finger on it, but it's just constant irritation. If I try to play it for fun, I don't get too far into it before I'm like, okay, I can't do this anymore. I need to fix this or that. And then, you end up just Fallout 4. It's like play the creation kit more than you play the game.
Yeah, I know what that means. Yeah, I noticed with your latest one, Project Valkyrie, the one where you meet a naked woman in the asylum, the aforementioned Valkyrie actually. Right. I noticed you sort of that's your first real way to deal with the story, like of commenting on the story and like making quests that interject into other quests, and you can actually finish the game with it effectively.
Right. Yeah, you sort of stumble onto this lady by accident, and she has this secret that sort of ties into the main quest and allows you to, like a complaint a lot of people have about Fallout 4 is with the main quest is you get to this certain point and it's just you have a choice of genocides. I think it's how one person described it, and a lot of people just don't finish the game because they don't want that. You finish the game and all of a sudden you're cut off from all this side content. So
that's actually really interesting because I actually was, when I got the game like in 2015 or whatever, I blasted through it and thought it was the best game ever. And then when it gets to the point, you're right, when it gets to the choice of genocide, I actually put it down. Like without thinking through it, I just went, no, I don't really feel like killing millions of people, and just sort of put the game down. So I know what you mean.
So your first time when you played it through, who did you side with?
I sided with the Institute because I just felt like I was playing the mother of the kid, who is now like octogenarian guy. So I figured, I'll just ally with my kid and I'll just support his wishes. I'll support what he wants to do in life. And then he
never mind that he's a megalomaniac.
Yeah, and then he's like, I want to kill all the railroad and brother, and I'm like, nah, I'll just go back to modding. So.
Yeah, I did it. I mean, I sided with the Institute also, but I have played it once where you blow it up. I think I did it with a railroad, and it didn't feel right. I was like, why? I really don't want to blow all this stuff up, and I just couldn't deal with it. So it always bugged me after that. I was like, okay, there needs to be a way to, give people like a second option, which is not the same ending regardless of who you side with.
Is it because the sides when you meet them in Fallout 4 don't seem murderous to start with? I think all of them are kind of noble in their own way. It's like, I always compare it with Fallout New Vegas, that at least when you start that game and meet all the sides, they all pretty much signal their intentions from the word go, where in Fallout 4 they're all quite noble until it gets to the point where it's like, oh, by the way, did we mention a Holocaust we want to do? It's like, okay, I want to. So, do you think it's that?
I don't know. I think it's very personal for everybody's got their own viewpoint on it. I don't. I guess for me, it just felt like tacked on at a certain point. Like if you play with the Brotherhood of Steel, I thought it all progresses very well, through the point where like you build the robot Liberty Prime. Mm-hmm. But then this guy he's like, oh, by the way, we need to go kill the railroad. And you're like, wait, what? Who?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, go kill. Like, why? And there's no dial. There's nothing where you can just say the obvious thing. Like same way when you arrive at the Institute, there's the game. Like basically, if you shoot Sean, father, in the head, the game breaks. Basically, they just didn't anticipate a way that players would do that.
So talk about maybe the technical challenges of fixing something like that. I mean, it's such a big game and there's so many different choices that the player can make. And in Project Valkyrie, you have all these options for sort of brokering peace and kind of coming up with these alternate endings. How challenging was that to like implement given the limitations in terms of just the player dialogue and just the sheer number of choices that you have to implement?
I don't think it's fixable. I mean, we tried. I really don't think we fixed it.
Well, it's a big task, but did you manage to sort of at least, create a passable version of the endings that you wanted to implement?
Yeah, I think we got that. I think but you hit on it, is that the dialogue is the issue. Because you can get in and handle things in a number of different ways, whether that's teleporting people to prison or just shooting them in the head, whatever you want to do. And then you can go and talk, like, in the main game, it's like with Desdemona of the railroad, there's no dialogue option to say, hey, I'm in charge of the railroad now. We can free the synths and let's all be friends.
Right.
And, fortunately, the dialogue exists. Like, Chris, I don't know if you ever used it. There's a tool called Lazy Voice Finder.
No, I haven't. I need to look for that because I was doing Control F and just searching through all the dialogue just to find key phrases that I wanted to use.
Yeah, same here.
Oh, no. Lazy Voice Finder is amazing. And the mod author of it, I think Bowmore Lover is his name, is extremely responsive too. Like, I was just being annoying to him one time. I was like, hey, I love your mod. Can you do this? And I was just going to say no. And like 2 days later, I got an update with that exact functionality. I was like, wow, okay.
How is it better than just say Control Fing through Excel or whatever? I mean, obviously, like, that's annoying doing what we're doing, but like, how is it better?
Well, let's say that the player says, go ahead, I'm listening. Mm-hmm. Well, there's, I don't know, 6-7 different ways that the player says that with different inflections, and it can differ between the male and the female. Mm-hmm. So, if you're doing it in Excel, you're not going to hear that. And then also, like with one of these tools, like Lazy Voice Finder, you can just right-click on the text. You can hear it, but then also hit Extract File and then just drag it over to your new folder. So putting in, Project Valkyrie and the Outcasts and Remnants has like 10,000 lines of dialogue. I could not have done it without that tool. But it's just copy and paste it over and quick rename and you're done.
Yeah, just being able to hear it is nice. Because like I was Control Fing, I'd find the file name, then I'd go to my folder with the file, and then have to search for that, and then double click and play it, and then do the same for the male. And
yeah,
so yeah,
like the
it was a lot more
the male would
tedious.
sound like, "Oh, go ahead," and it's like, but then they would say it sarcastically when you hear it, and it's like, "Go ahead," and you're like, "Okay, thanks, great. I'm going now to Control F the next one," and yeah, so hearing about that,
You'll find one, you'll double click on the female version, you'll be like, oh, this is perfect. Then you click on the male, and then he reads it totally different, and you're like, oh, fuck, I gotta find another one for him.
The problem with the female, she reads everything neutrally. With the male, it's like, "Go ahead," and he's like, he changes the pitch of his voice all the time, so you can't really combine the two sentences together to make something new.
Yeah. Because Courtney uses like a similar tone with a lot of her lines, I was able to like combine different lines together and it would sound seamless. Whereas with Brian, he's more emotive. He uses like a more expressive style. It's almost impossible to kind of combine like files for him.
Yeah.
So.
Like,
Yep.
I don't know if you found that to be the case.
Yeah, it's same exact experience as you with that.
yeah, there must have been a few times where you're like, "Oh, I found the perfect, female line," and then the male line comes, and it's like, I can't use the female line anymore because whoever played the male duffed it up.
Yeah, it's tough because that's the problem with Fallout 4. Like, you don't see a lot of quest mods for Fallout 4 because with Skyrim, you can control both sides of the dialogue because you can say whatever you want with the player, and then people are more than willing usually to voice act a custom NPC. But like with especially if you're trying to alter a vanilla main quest, it's like you've got to somehow fit the player vanilla dialogue in with the vanilla NPC dialogue, and it's like you're trying to put this 100-piece puzzle together, and there's 600 pieces, and only 80 of them go to the puzzle that you're trying to put together.
Yep, that's how it worked. That's why Todd Howard basically said he effed up on dialogue that year, with the whole dialogue wheel thing.
Right.
Did you see that interview where Todd Howard's basically saying, "Oh, we screwed up a bit in dialogue. We didn't do the best we could." When I heard that, I thought he was going to go back to the kind of RPG way, with the list system and like Fallout New Vegas and Skyrim, what you were talking about. I didn't know he was just going to get rid of dialogue entirely in Fallout 76.
Well, they took all the criticisms people had about Fallout 4 and just said, fine, we won't do any of it. Not that we're going to make it better. We're just not going to do it at all.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I think I think I was looking for games to play this week, and I thought, I really want to play Fallout 76. But I thought I'm not going to play it for too long, especially if there's no modding. And like if the modded servers it's not particularly what it sounds like, and I just...
Well, didn't Todd say that they're 100% committed to bringing mods?
Did they say that?
Yeah, I think that was a quote.
Oh. Well, okay. Then if that's the case...
And I also read Pete Hines did an interview, I think, where he said that even though it's a multiplayer game, that there's a lot of single player elements to it. Like, so if you're with a group of 4 people, you might kind of wander off on your own. Like, even though he was playing with Todd and a couple other bigwigs, he'd like wander off on his own and just play like a single player because that's like what he likes to do. So they're trying to really push, I don't know if that's true, but they're trying to really push, from what it sounds like, that this is a game for single players as well, that it's not just a multiplayer thing. But if there's no dialogue, I mean, I haven't heard that. There's no dialogue at all.
No, I think there's a case where it's like Borderlands, where basically the robots and things would just tell you stuff and you just go and do it. And there's no real exchange of
conversation or anything. Yeah.
But who knows? They might be. But if it is the case where it's my worst fears are confirmed, where it's like there's no real modding, and it's just a kind of, you know, a single player Borderlands exploration thing with people annoying you, then I might just play it for not too. I don't see myself playing it for too long. What about you, Thuggy? I mean,
I saw a YouTuber play one of my mods once, and they gets to a point at the end of the conversation, and the NPC is like, yeah, and if you want more information, read the terminal. And the YouTuber is playing, he's like, no, I want you to tell me. And I think, I don't know how widespread that sentiment is, but I really don't understand what Bethesda is doing with this, unless the facts are that Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6, we want to do a traditional, what we've always done, what people are used to. We just don't have the technology yet, and we need it to be on the next gen of consoles. We don't want to lay off half our staff in the meantime, so we're going to do Fallout 76 because we've always wanted to try multiplayer.
I mean, I think it looks great. I mean, I would just exploration would be worth the price alone, and like, 4 times the size of Fallout 4 map? It looks fantastic. I just don't see myself lasting as long with it with Fallout 4, if you know what I mean. That's what you personally. You sort of find the single player experience. You'll play it, and then as soon as an Al Chestbreach fan shows up, you'll just go, okay, I'm done with the game, and you'll bail out.
You're talking about like what with Fallout 76, like with griefers or something?
Yeah.
Or what do you mean?
Like, oh, there he is, Thuggysmurf. He insulted Al Chestbreach. Get him. So, and it's like, oh, bye. It's a great game. See ya.
Oh, really? Is there a YouTube drama between you two guys?
I wouldn't say so. No. I mean, unless you.
No, that's cool.
What do you? That's probably something to get to, like bring us to that thing. What do you think? Have you got? What's your thoughts on YouTubers doing reviews or playing through your mods and basically spoiling the entire thing and things like that? I mean, what's your opinion on that? Do you have feelings about that, or do you just sort of ignore it and go, I'm doing my own thing?
Okay, so I'm pretty pathetic about this. What I love watching, like you get these people that go on YouTube and they have like 2 viewers or something, but they'll play through the entire mod, and I will watch those from beginning to end because most people that play your mods, they don't, like they're generous in feedback, and okay, I like this, I didn't like that, and it helps you get better. But there's a whole bunch of stuff that people will never tell you about your mod that you're never going to see unless you actually watch somebody with a different play style try to play it. So, it's neat watching somebody go through some of these on like melee style and survival mode, and you're like, oh wow, I never took that into account that somebody would play it this way. So those are great to watch. As far as like the bigger YouTubers, I don't know. I mean, you guys who MXR is? I assume.
Yeah.
Okay. Like he'll review him. It's really funny. Like he'll review him and he's like, oh, okay, cool. This mod has a shower in it, or this mod has a nightclub in it. That is what the mod is about. And it's really funny watching the video where he like spins it that way. But it's also kind of annoying because we get a bunch of questions after that come back to the mod page, and they're like,
so it's like carefully edited in a way to represent your mod as something that it's not.
I don't know. I mean, we try to make the mods so they can be whatever people want them to be. If they want to play the silly parts of it, that's fine. But
your mod is like the guest star to their star. Is that would that be kind of?
It's like, say that one more time.
Your mod is like the guest star, and they're the star. They're the main attraction, and your mod's just flair on the sides, as content for them. Would that be?
Oh yeah, no, that's fine. The other weird thing is you get sometimes you get the YouTube reviewers, like the mod of the week ones. I don't know if you ever know, like they don't play the mods that they're reviewing. Like maybe they load it up to see that it works.
Yeah.
But like you watch one of the reviews and it's like, yeah, dude, you haven't played the mod at all, have you?
Now you're in my territory where it's like I'd make armor mods and they don't even play the full extent of the armor mod. They just put it on and they go, "This works. Here, hello." It was like that at the beginning, but I would might be maybe less now. I don't know, but you know, it was definitely like that in the beginning, where a lot of YouTubers were trying to get a lot of views, which is fair, I guess. But now maybe they're a bit more thorough about the thing. It was annoying back then.
Yeah. The issue I have with the YouTubers, I'm not going to name the mod or the YouTuber or whatever, but it's a very popular female follower mod, and there's a severe shortage of those in Fallout 4. But like, if you click on this mod on YouTube, not the top video, but the fifth one is like, sorry, can I swear on this? Or you guys not?
Go for it.
Yeah.
Okay. So, you know, this voice actor, she's got a great mod. She's got a beautiful voice. And this guy's talking over her the whole time, and he's like, nobody's gonna listen to what she has to say because she's a fucking woman, and like the whole thing is about,
Yikes.
you know, here are the ways you can get her naked, basically. Nothing about the character or whatever. And he's monetizing the video, and people are making all these misogynistic comments in the YouTube comments. I'm like, okay, this pisses me off because this is free content. Like, do you want these mod authors to keep providing this? You know, God forbid she sees this video. You know, is that going to motivate her to do more?
Mm-hmm.
Like, knowing that this is out here and that nobody's, you know, really sticking up for her. And you see other ones too that come out. It's like, oh yeah, can you make the character fatter because you sound like a BBW? And it's like, are you serious? That just baffles me that goes on. Like, if they're getting paid for it, if we're paid mods, I get it. That's fine. But it's, you know, like, this is free content. People are doing this with their spare time. They're not getting paid for it. And it just, some of the stuff that comes out of that amazes me.
Well, even if it's paid, I mean, be a human being, have some decency, right? I mean, that's just probably impossible on the internet, but still.
Oh, yeah, sure. But I guess my point is, like, okay, like, Chris, look at Tales from the Commonwealth. Mm-hmm. Like, if somebody's going to come out and harass you or stalk you or whatever they're going to do, like, if you're getting paid $2 per unique download on that, you'd be a lot more okay with that than with, like, yeah, I'm doing this for free.
Yeah, exactly. Because you know that it's part of what you need to do to make this living or whatever.
Right.
It's like you have to deal with the customer service base or whatnot.
Yeah.
I mean, personally, I just, I'm not entirely bothered by it. I sort of made my peace with the sense that the YouTubers are over here and I'm over there, and I just you know, the reward doesn't come from watching videos of them and stuff. It comes from getting it right, in a sense. But I do find it might be a bit annoying to sort of watch a YouTuber just cover the entirety of your quest mod and just go, oh, well, I picked this choice, but here's another video where I picked B and C, and I'm like, okay, so you're just leaving nothing to the imagination? I suppose there's always going to be some people going to go, oh, video one, I'd rather actually play this myself and switch it off.
I mean,
but I think there's always going to be a lot of people that are going to be like, I'll just watch the whole thing here because I'd rather watch my favorite YouTuber play it. I mean, that might bother me. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I would just like basically just avoid those things altogether. I mean, if it's going to have spoilers, I mean, there's going to be playthroughs of everything. So if you just avoid all those videos, avoid the comments. I know as a mod author, I don't know if it's necessarily easy because you're looking for that feedback and you're looking for constructive criticism, but I just find it easier just not to read anything, not to look at anything. Leaves for a healthier mind. I don't know if you agree, though.
Yeah.
I completely take the opposite way. Like, I think, Chris, it's different for your mods because they're really well written, and there's good balance of dialogue and stuff. I tend to rely, it's a lot quicker to put a terminal or a note in a game than to flesh out dialogue. It takes like 10 times as long. So sometimes I over rely on like terminals or notes, but the problem I see, like, when YouTubers do it sometimes, they don't read anything. And so they don't understand what the plot is, and their viewers obviously can't because they're not shown it. And then sometimes you get questions on the mod page like, okay, well, how come this or how come that? It's like, oh, you know, you look at the thing, it's like, oh, Nexus tells you like whether they downloaded it or not. It's like, oh, okay, I get it. You haven't downloaded it, you haven't played it, you're asking this question based on this YouTube video. So, like, yeah, I would love it if somebody just goes through everything and spoils it. Like sometimes people do like, okay, this terminal's way too long. I'm not going to read it. I'm just going to pause on it for like 3 seconds for each screen. If you want to pause the video, you can. Then I'll do like a verbal, summary of what it was about. Like that's effective. But no, I tend to like it when they're just like extremely thorough about it.
Yeah, I don't mind the walkthroughs because that's just a fact of life. It's just going to be on the internet no matter what. Like, and yeah, I mean, sometimes I like to like see how it looks, like you were saying, from another person's eyes. So I don't mind the walkthroughs. That's a personal choice for the viewer whether or not they want to be spoiled, and they have the freedom to get spoiled. But yeah, the comments, I stay away from the comments just for my mental health.
That's interesting because I want to bring the comments right back up. During my extensive research of Thuggysmurf's background, 2 videos of Al Chess Breach's playthrough of Valkyrie, I was watching the second video, and then I sort of found myself being pulled down into the comment section, like an anchor, and started drowning. But I sort of realizing that people end up having huge, like, essay-long criticisms of the mod. And I just wondered what your responses, things like that. Like there were big, huge lores, like, oh, I don't agree with this, and I don't agree with that, and I don't agree with this, and you must agree with that, and this and that and that. I mean, I've had some of those, and I just wondered what your kind of responses.
Oh, we all have. I've had them too.
Yeah.
Well, so there's a couple. I guess I make the distinction. There's people that have played through the mod, and they give me a list, like private message. Here are the 20 things I don't like about it, and I'm like, God bless you. Thank you for doing that, because I would not have seen, obviously I missed them. They're not in the mod. The one I get that it's frustrating, like on the YouTube ones, most of the people watching like MXR or Juicehead or any of these big channels are not even PC players. They're console players. So they're not going to play your mod ever. And the only, frame of reference they have of it is what they've been shown by the YouTuber. So yeah, like on the Al ones we get, there's a group of them that are kind of funny. They come and they stalk us, and actually, I mean, it was funny. We got a death threat against one of the voice actors, and it stopped being funny. But we're like, okay, well, yeah, you can threaten me. So we, like, on our Discord, we did a thing called Threaten a Mod Author, and I don't think I'm ever going to break like DD Productions records, but I'm up to like 4 now.
Wow.
To start.
Aren't those scary though? I mean, because you never know if someone's being serious. I mean, you always have to police always treat death threats as serious things, even though people just say them, just to be assholes.
I got a bunch during the whole Star-Lord thing. I didn't really find it that, threatening, because I just see them as maladjusted kids, because, like, I feel like they make those comments because they don't know how to deal with people that way. So, like, the fact that they make it confirm their harmlessness, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. That's fine.
I mean, sure, there's always going to be the one person who's going to make real his threat. But, I mean, and you might, Chris, you might argue, well, you've got to take that 1% chance it might be the case. But most of the time you can just sort of tell that it's just some idiot who doesn't know how to communicate with people.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree that, like, 99% or whatever, obviously that's a fake statistic, but I would agree that for the most part, like, you can't really take that seriously, but it is your life. I mean, most people who make threats online are just, teenagers behind a fucking computer. But, I mean, it is your life, so you got to take some kind of precaution. I don't know. If I ever got a death threat, I would definitely call the police, I think. But yeah. Yeah,
maybe I'm too. I mean, there's one of them that, well, I can't talk about one of them, but the ones against me, it's like, I'm not going to go after some kid in their parents' basement. It's just, they're angry, whatever, that's fine. They're not going to do anything. Not going to pursue that, so...
No, I do agree with you in the sense that I love hearing those big essays. Sometimes they're annoying. Sometimes if they're full of, like, if they're really cursing you and saying you made a big, huge mistake, it's like, oh, F you. But most of the time, I suppose, over the long term, they're quite useful, and saying, oh, that helped me improve, that'll help me, do.
Well, usually if a lot of people are repeating the same thing, that's when it sort of becomes like, okay, that this is something that, or maybe a valid criticism. So, I mean, usually it gets to you in one way or another without having to constantly, like, look through the comments and stuff. So, like, it's definitely helpful in that regard. I don't know if it's healthy, though, to check it every day and read every single one, though. That's where I think I would draw the line.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Let's get to the happier part of the podcast, shall we? Thuggy, tell me, do you have a favorite mod from the past? You mentioned that you just like you kind of semi-started with the Skyrim, so you might not have a favorite mod from the past. But I'm gonna fish and hope for some kind of fantastic answer. So do you have like a favorite mod from Skyrim, from Fallout 4, that you just thought, I love this mod, it's great, I play it more than the actual game, or I just can't do without it?
Sure. Warzone's Assault Attack by My Good Eye.
Wow. Okay. What's that about? Tell us about
It's
that.
the most underrated mod I think I've ever played. It is inspirational. So Warzones was a popular mod in Skyrim. One problem, Skyrim had to be made for like an Xbox 360. So, there were limitations on NPCs. You're supposed to do this civil war. You go raid this fort, and there's like 6 bad guys. Warzones takes things to a new level. There's actually, there's random encounters. There are war zones. You go into an area and there's a huge battle, and you can customize via the mod configuration menu how many you want, how often they respawn, etc. So he made that, and that was a really popular mod as a base, and I couldn't imagine playing Skyrim without it. But then he did a follow-up to that called Assault Attack, where he tweaked some things in Warzones, but he also made 4 enemy strongholds in different parts of Skyrim, kind of at the edges of the map. And the one to me that was just inspirational was this one called High Rock, where it's this massive cliff and there's a bridge going across, and it's just, I don't know how to give it justice with words. Just like go download it and play it. But yeah, seeing something like that, I was like, wow, I wonder if I could make something, feel like that when you play it. And that helped a lot in terms of inspiration.
See, I've always had a bit of a poor experience with Warzones, because normally my experience with Skyrim involves playing the intro for a bit and then never touching the game again for about 6 months, and then restarting the intro, and then never touching the game for 6 months, and then restarting the intro. And generally, that's my joy I get from Skyrim, really.
Sure.
And when I sort of, I sort of venture towards Whiterun, which is effectively the end of my game. When a Warzone's installed, a legendary dragon would attack, and then giants would attack, and it would just look like a party you don't want to be at. And that's generally, I didn't have the best experience. So while you might have a much more rounded, much more in-depth, and much more valuable criticism, I'm the host, so basically my criticism comes out on top. So,
You're one of those people that Thuggy was railing against earlier, who didn't play the whole mod and is casting.
I'm basically Al Chess Breach's #1 fan. So these mods are like, there's one for Fallout 4, isn't there? There's like a Warzones or a competitive type.
There's a few. It's not the same. A different mod author. He never did it for Fallout 4. There's a few like War of the Commonwealth, War Spawns. There's 3 or 4 of them like that.
Oh, so they're taking the Warzones formula and implementing it.
I don't know. The Warzone concept. They drew inspiration from it. How about that?
I smell a lawsuit. Well, thank you for that. So do you mind if we just bring us to the sort of final run of the podcast? This is a new part of the podcast, everyone. I went over this with you, Chris, right? We're going to be talking about actual mods, and in a conversational way. And we're going to be talking about Fallout 4, because that's the only tabs I have open, and we're going to be talking about the mods that are popular this week, and some mods that have been updated, because not a lot of people know that mods have been updated, and generally just see the first one version of it. They might track it, but otherwise they'll never really return to it. And so I thought talking about some updates, might make people rethink their download. Is that you okay to talk about that?
Yeah.
Okay. So generally, like the current what's at the top of the Fallout 4 tree is, well, I'm just beyond the CBBE stuff, which is also special in its own way.
What race is this woman?
I don't know. I don't know.
She's purple, I think.
Is it a race or is it a bathing suit? It looks like a bathing suit mod, right?
It's a bathing suit, but she's also very purple.
Yeah, I'm less concerned with the bathing suit as I am. Like, is this like a vampire? I'm just confused.
Is this
Anyways.
flotation device, this duck thing, is that part of the mod, or is that different?
Well, it's called Terra, so maybe the species is called Terra. Oh no, there's actually a human-looking woman here. So generally, I'm just confused. So well done to that mod author. You have you are now the top of the tree, and Fallout 4 modding is dead. But if we look to some of the past, let's go to the recent updates. So the first major update we've had is Pit-Pad, which makes changes to it's like a handheld Pit-Boy. So normally the Pit-Boy is in the arm. In this case, they hold it. And normally with the game, to when you're wearing the Pit-Boy, they have a separate mesh which pushes the sleeve up. So that was always a problem with this mod, because when you're holding the handheld, the sleeve would always go up. Really. So that's the latest update to the Pit-Pad. So have any of you used this?
I have not, no.
Neither have I. But it looks cool. I really like that idea. It looks much better than the Fallout New Vegas one. If you've played
I've played with that one, yeah.
Yeah, that was quite cool. The next one, which is Buttons. There's been an update to Buttons Companion. I really like the fact that there's very few companion mods for Fallout 4 because of, as you said, the voice thing. And this is a really cool one from Cameron August, who does all these pictures of Fallout 3 characters and things like that. So this one's really cool. Have you heard of it? Any of you heard of this?
Yeah, I haven't played it yet, but I've watched all the YouTube
Neither
stuff.
have I. But I think it's great whenever someone makes a new companion, because it's quite difficult, because no one can be bothered control Fing, but you've basically told us about that piece of software, which is fantastic. So currently he has
Yeah, and they did a good job with that one, fitting it into the lore as well. I think he's the Minuteman.
No, he's from
Buttons.
Arroyo in Fallout 3. I think he is a Minuteman, but he's like from Arroyo, so you might want to play with that, and I'll let you know when that's updated. But that's been updated recently. There's the Star Trek Assault Phaser. Any of you guys have an opinion on lore unfriendly stuff in the game? Thuggy, I know you're really strict about it. So it's a good looking gun, but I don't know how to keep laser effects constant.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with lore unfriendly things in being made. I mean, people to each their own. They could put them in their game. They could, have at it. It's like Dougie was saying. You could have a Candyland game. You could have a Star Wars game. You can have a violent game.
Nor does Bethesda care at this point.
the whole
You've
point.
got the Skyrim helmet on the Creation Club now. So I think that's out the window. Just whatever's fun pretty much goes at this
Well, there's
point.
good lore behind it, though.
I guess.
Yep. And a really good gun is from our friend, quote in quotes, Axas, who's just released, who's planning to release an update to his Hjorgen kinetic shotgun. Now he just released this, and it was a sort of troll. I can't think of anything less from the man, to be honest. Where he said here's a shotgun, but it's only a melee weapon because he couldn't get the animations working. So the only thing you could do was just hit people with the shotgun. But now he's promising to update to an actual shotgun, which is quite good. And it's like I'm quite interested in this because it's actually an inertia based shotgun. Like the shotgun from Aliens, where it's basically reloads through its own inertia.
Oh, wow. That sounds cool.
Yeah, well, that's like a modern thing, but this was like turn of the century version of that, which I find really cool, and I'm looking forward to playing with that. So it's a great looking mod. Unfortunately, too bad about the mod author. And next,
Axis is a friend of the show, though.
Axis, maybe. Lastly is the Cat's Meow by Brandoman, which is a sort of atomic cat's radio. Which might be one of the more lore-friendly versions of Old World Blues, and that's been updated, so that looks good. Are both of you a fan of Brandoman's Old World Radio? Are you?
Huge fan. Awesome work. I love it.
There you go. Absolutely. Okay, so those are like the major mods updated. So if you want to check those out, maybe next time I'll actually play them I'm just right now. I'm just letting you know they've been updated.
Yeah, I updated my mod, I think, yesterday too.
Oh, that's right. What have you updated to Tales of the Commonwealth?
Yeah, because I saw, this is kind of goes back to our conversation. I saw like a video walkthrough of a quest, and I noticed one of the player voices was missing, so that drove me nuts, and so I fixed that.
Are you doing more content updates to it?
No, it's just mostly bug fixing at the point. This point, so I might throw something in if I have an idea that I want to use, but I kind of want to save any like good big ideas for 76 if there's modding for it, which they're committed to bringing, but there's no guarantee that it'll come. Is from what I gathered from what Todd said, right? So I don't know if you guys read the quote or heard the interview.
I think you mentioned modded servers, but I'm just, even if we get the creation 76 creation kit, the fabled 76 creation kit, which you see in the documentary, I'm worried they're going to just delete the dialogue window, like it just won't be there.
Yeah, if there's no dialogue, there's nothing for me to do. So yeah. I'm fucking screwed.
Well, would you do it? Would you do a note and a terminal mod like you did with that one mod? I don't know if we can talk about it, but would you do that for Fallout 76? If that's all you can do is terminals and notes, would you quest mod for it, or would you wait?
Probably not. I mean, the whole appeal of modding is just being able to create these sort of big things, and yeah, I mean, that would be the appeal of it. I mean, it'd have to be a really great idea to be a note and terminal quest and not use voice acting. Well, I guess the limitation would force you not to, huh? It would have to be an idea that is limited to that setting, that would make it appealing to that setting, that couldn't be done in Fallout 4, because otherwise, why not just put it in Fallout 4, right? It would have to be something that was specific to that region or lore or monsters or dungeons or whatnot, so we'll see. I mean, can't tell unless we play the game.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard there's actually a story reason for why, the fact that there's no people in West Virginia, apparently.
Wait, there's no people?
Yeah, there's no people.
Because it happens right after the war, though, right? I mean, it makes sense that there's no people. Well, no, because they didn't get bombed.
Yeah.
I'm not up to date on what the story is exactly. So.
Yeah, apparently, like, there was someone read that, like, the monsters, all the monsters you see, apparently, again, you don't want to be spoiled. Yeah.
Isn't that what the Scorched are? Those are what people became?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it makes sense if they're going to have, like, crazy fucking flying bat monsters in the trailer that humanity didn't survive. Just evolution-wise, they weren't fucking prepared to fight these things off, but yeah.
Yeah, so, so again, I'm worried they're just going to, like, the same way they... Sorry?
I was going to say, I'm more interested in why they didn't have people as a sort of technical choice. Like, I mean, they could have easily written people into the story if they wanted to. They just didn't want to have them there for some reason, right?
I think they just want your experience of a human being to be another person. Like, they think there's something special in that encounter.
So they don't want any NPCs, is basically. So yeah, I mean, story can be whatever you want to make it work. So it's obvious they didn't want human beings in the world.
I mean, on one hand, you think it's like a cynical big cash grab. But on the other hand, you're thinking that's actually quite an interesting choice to say. Todd Howard just goes, "Oh, I want the only experience of a person to be another actual person." And so
no.
Yeah, so I'm not sure.
We can't knock it until we played it. Same as with mods.
Very true.
Your opinion, Thuggy, on that?
I just don't. I mean, I think it's, we're PC players and we don't realize that we are not the market. We are maybe 10 to 15% of their market. We get to play these games by the grace of console players. Bethesda as a company probably wouldn't exist if it wasn't for the Xbox coming out around the same time as Morrowind did.
Yeah, I have seen you mention that before, where you basically said that, despite all our complaints about console players or fantasizing that the PC market is the only market that matters, you said that Morrowind basically saved Bethesda from being, history when it was released for Xbox, the original Xbox.
Oh, the console numbers dwarf the PC sales, right? From what I understand, so...
They define the whole thing. Yeah.
And so, if you're the marketing department, I mean, Bethesda can say they're committed to modding on Fallout 76, and that's great. But first and foremost, they're committed to their shareholders. And if you're in charge over there, you got to start from top down, and you say, okay, well, what's the box going to look like? Well, it's going to have a dude in power armor, probably, and we need super mutants in this game, and we need at least 20 different creatures, and you work backwards and you say, okay, what's the story going to be to make all this work? And they have huge technical hurdles to overcome with making a multiplayer game like this work. I don't know. I mean, that's wonderful if they're able to give us mod support, but I can't imagine it's anywhere near the top of their priority list at this point.
Yeah, and it's not exclusive to Bethesda anyway in terms of just catering to the console market. I mean, it's a reality for all game developers, I'd say. Like every trailer you see, it's being played on a console, so you see the console buttons, the BA, joystick shit. So
yeah, I'm just worried for them is that they're the best in the world at what they do, which is this single. I don't know if you want to call them RPGs or not, but
the open world,
sort of the single player open world action adventure RPG genre. That's what they're the best at, and they're going into something that is much more competitive against better financed competitors that have been doing this for longer. And there's the hope is that their traditional fan base doesn't get totally alienated by this sort of detour that they're taking before they do Starfield and ES6.
That could be why they mentioned those two games coming out early, just to kind of hold off the hordes with the torches and pitchforks. So,
yeah, that was definitely it. They were basically saying, "Oh, we'll break tradition just to try and calm people with our next thing, and say, oh, but don't worry, the things you like are coming, so eat your vegetables."
Yep.
Eat your multiplayer vegetables. Yeah. Anyway,
hopefully it's a wonderful experience, and I don't know. I'm not optimistic about that. I really hope I'm wrong. I really hope it's a blast to play.
I think it looks amazing, just like in terms of your whole exploration type thing. The whole Fallout 3, come out the vault, see the world, go everywhere. I think it's going to be that's going to be
for me. It's the question of whether it's a game for me, not whether the game will be good. Because I think they have a good track record. They've proven that they can make excellent games. That the game might be an excellent game, but I still might not want to play it just because I'm such a single player kind of person. I've never really liked like ESO. I have bought ESO, but I've just never really been into that MMO experience. And so that's not a knock on the game. It's just a personal preference. So I don't necessarily think that if I don't like it, that means it can't be good. Or it doesn't mean it's bad. Sorry.
Do either of you ever play like PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds?
I like watching it.
Yeah, I haven't played it. I've seen videos of it.
I've really played it too much. The original map, not because I'm good at shooting or because I just love that it was this beautiful open world to explore, and it was in the context of a multiplayer game, which really surprised me that I liked it, but I did. And it was something about it kept it replayable for a long time, until the cheaters kind of took it over. But I guess that's my main concern. I know they can build a beautiful open world, and it'll be great to play it, at least the first, 30, 40 hours. But after that, is there going to be replay value to it? I don't know.
Probably not. Because did you hear that Pete Hines quote where he said that replayability is like a bad word in the office? He wants more the value the first time through as opposed to replayability, and that might be a hint that there is not as much replayability in this game.
Yep, that's fair.
I mean, I do find it interesting because I don't know if Chris or you are single player focused experience. You just mentioned you like PlayerUnknown's, but they mentioned the whole griefing thing. There's a double down, to stop griefers. So apparently, if the griefer shoots you or so whatever, it's only a fraction of the damage. And if they kill you, apparently the bounty is placed on them, so it's kind of like a double locked. If you cause people grief in this game, you're in trouble. My only problem with is in a multiplayer world full of hackers, this Fallout 76 is going to be coded in Papyrus, so it's going to be very easy to hack, if you know what I mean. So
yeah, I don't know about that. I've never played multiplayers. How do they hack the system in a game like that?
Well, I've seen people hack things in Minecraft, and Dougie just mentioned PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds. It's not a case of if they take over and destroy the world. It's a case of when. It's kind of like the Scorch Beasts.
Well, you get into other issues though, like are they going to region lock it? Like with Battlegrounds, that was an issue. Like 99% of the hacks are coming out of one country. Do you region lock that country or not?
Which country was it? Was it Russia?
No, it wasn't Russia. It's China.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, I would think that just being able to go on private servers, like, I mean, shit, can you have a private server with just you on it? Is the game playable at that point, or? I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you probably could.
That
But
would help.
it's going to be a while until private servers. I think your initial experience is always going to be with, like they mentioned dozens, so it's like, let's say that's about 36 people. It's going to be 35 strangers, like for the first 2 months or so. So.
Oh, so it's not, private servers aren't coming out on launch.
No.
Mm.
For the first 2 months, they want everyone to be effectively a stranger, and then like after 2 months, it's like, hey, you can let your friends in.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so like
I might wait 2 months.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's coming to an hour. So, Thuggy, I think we should finish off. And do you have any plans for the future? Any updates? Anything you'd like to leave us with? Any future Fallout 4 quest mods you might have planned or in the process of making that you want to exclusively reveal to Modcast, which all 5 people will hear.
Yeah. Well, in that case, sure. Yeah, working on one to give you more choice from the beginning of the game. There are limited opportunities to be a jerk in Fallout 4, and one thing I've not done well on the other ones is you kind of there's a bias towards being a good guy, and some of that's just the base game. So I want to make a mod from the beginning where you can there are opportunities to be a jerk throughout it, and as you build up more power and build your gang, there are economic consequences to that. The world reacts to what you do. So that's what I'm working on. I haven't figured it out yet. I have a few people helping out with it, and we'll see how it goes. But
that sounds really cool, actually. Like, I'm always, as I said, with my Skyrim experience, where most of my Skyrim experience consists of, escaping Alduin and going to Whiterun, and then most of my Fallout 4 experience is escaping Vault 111 and going to Concord and then just quitting to mod. So I've noticed that you can't. There's no choice in terms of basic things like you can't kill Codsworth, or you can't choose, and it's very apparent that you can't choose anyone but Preston's crew in Concord. So I'd be really up for that because I've always fantasized about like just killing Codsworth for the parts. So simple things like that. So yeah, that sounds really cool. I'm glad someone is coming up with that. All right, Thuggy, I'm glad you could join us on Modcast episode 13.
Episode lucky 13. All right.
Yes, indeed, or unlucky. All right. Bye, everyone.
All right. Thanks, guys.